And welcome to another Tom and Shane podcast. We're gonna try to recreate the one we did Tuesday that didn't work out because our stupid internet was acting up. It's a bright sunny day today, so maybe the tin can string will work. Shane, what do you think? Shane Matobin,
Well,
half man, half amazing.
all I can do is try.
That's all we can do is try. You're right, absolutely. So
Yeah.
all right. Well, what we're going to talk about today is Thomas Jefferson. He is getting the hell out of New York City, getting out of City Hall, I should say, Shane. They are kicking him out because why? Why is the author of the Declaration of Independence? Why is the second president of the United States? Why is the guy responsible for the Louisiana Purchase? Why is this guy non persona non grata at the New York City Capitol or City Hall, I should say?
Well, because he was a slave owner back in the late 18th century, and sad as it were, unlike President Washington, upon his death, he freed all of the slaves he had. The Jefferson family freed 4 in their lifetime, including the children, the men of his I guess a lot of people called her a concubine, but his the gal that he ended up having children with, he freed
Sally Hemings.
That's right. He freed the sons of Sally Hemings, and foundation of the Jefferson Foundation found that they were related and their DNA did match, so that became a dead issue. But this was put in the hallowed halls of New York City because at the time, for the first 2 presidencies, which was Washington and Adams, New York City was, the capital of your country.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the City Hall has the statue, I believe, of Washington out front, and this statue of Jefferson inside.
Yeah. Well, the question we have to ask is, what does this really accomplish, Shane? Does it accomplish anything at all other than, you've got somebody out there that now feels vindicated, or they feel whatever. This apparently the statue is going to be moved to a museum instead of being in City Hall, and they've also talked about removing some of the statues in the Capitol as well.
Well, I think the issue that you're dealing with here is again, it's the effort of the African American community, which is now the second largest minority in the country, trying to protect itself from being marginalized and replaced by the Hispanics. So all these efforts that you see about things like this, Black Lives Matter, these, the slave owners issue, they keep bringing all these things up so they're in the news, because the minute the news starts focusing on Hispanics in your country, they won't be relevant. And actually, as a voting bloc now, they aren't anymore, because there's more Mexican American more Hispanic voters now in the U.S. than African Americans. Mm-hmm. That's number one. Number two, it's basically to provide a bone, like they call it, raw meat in politics, to the woke and liberal left, from Commodore, de Blasio, the commandant of New York City, and his wife, Christine, and to misdirect, the $850 million she was provided with to take care of the homeless and drug addiction on the streets in New York, and the money's apparently disappeared. So, he's destroyed a glorious diamond of city on the hill, world renowned, which will, if ever comes back, I doubt it, but if it ever comes back, it won't be under a Democrat, that's for sure. But that's why. Yeah. Throw the left a bone to chew on. That's it. This is nothing more than a woke moment that has no relevance whatsoever to politics, policy, or the running of a city.
Yeah. Well, you brought up Black Lives Matter. Why is Planned Parenthood still around because Margaret Sanger was a known racist. I mean, her whole issue with starting Planned Parenthood was to get rid of the black race. I mean, that was her whole shtick.
Not only did she fund it and set it
Yeah.
up, but she did it in the South first.
Yeah.
And again, this is one of these oxymorons, you know, that you look at in American politics with regard to the demolition party, and in favor of slavery and in favor of black, you know, death basically at the hands of doctors, and this woman's belief that they were a ignorant race, and that everything should be done to stop their growth, and all these things of the Democratic Party has been pressed upon. The fascinating thing is the contradiction. To me, this type of abortion is racist. I mean, it's clearly directed at the black, family, and what it's done to them in certainly in the last 40 years, and certainly since, we've dealt with Roe versus Wade. I mean, one of the things you like to say, right, is that you're more likely to die of a suicide or of a
Abortion.
more like of abortion in New York City than a gunshot, and the crime there is horrific. Anyway, 19 million African Americans have been aborted since '73. That's two generations. I mean, you think about it. I mean,
yeah. If you're black, you have a better chance of being aborted in New York City than you have of being born.
That's right.
So yeah, you're just out of luck. Well, Shane, should the White House be replaced? It was built by slaves originally, burned down, I think, in the War of 1812 or somewhere
That's
around
correct,
there.
yeah.
And Truman gutted the place in 48 and rebuilt it. So, but I'm wondering, should it just be a vacant lot, and we should build something with union labor, of course.
With the blacks trying to maintain their irrelevant importance as the second largest minority, it should be like a checkerboard, black and white. But you can't. They got to be the same size because 62% of your country's white.
Yeah.
And so, if you made the white block 62% bigger than the black ones, that wouldn't work.
Mm-hmm.
You got the Asians and women and the Hispanics who would all, of course, want their block on the White House. So
of course, yeah.
There you go. But at night it's not white. It's they've got lighting to give it all kinds of colors.
Well, yeah. I mean, they can light it up for any any political woke thing that comes along, I guess. So,
well, the Obamas were famous for lighting it in black, literally in black. It was quite amazing.
Yeah, black light. You got to have that. So
that's okay. Anything on the left is okay. You're not going to get in trouble or prosecuted or attacked. Because,
no, you're not. That's for sure.
It's that free expression thing that they live behind. It's our free expression, not yours.
That's true. Yeah. Well, if you like what you hear, hey, hit the subscribe button, clang that notification bell. You'll always be notified when we have another podcast. And of course, we use StreamYard to produce these podcasts. And there's a free version of that. The link is in the description below. And of course, if you'd like to support the show monetarily, you can do that at Patreon. There is a description in the below in the YouTube. And we hope that you'll take advantage of those three things. So, and also, of course, as probably everyone knows, we're on radio. We are on radio every Saturday. And I don't know where my radio thing went, Shane.
Yeah.
Where's my radio thing? I don't know where it is.
Real quick, it's funny because of two reasons. One, we've seen the clip time and time of President Biden. Can't remember probably the most notable quote in the preamble of the Declaration of Independence: that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by the Creator with certain unalienable rights, and among these rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed. Now, the fascinating thing about this is when he presented this to Continental Congress in 1776, um, one of the delegates asked him, what gave you the feeling? What was the idea behind this? What was the epiphany?" And he stood up and he declared to the Congress, he said, "To place before mankind in terms so plain and firm as to command their assent." Now, I'm doing that for two reasons. One, it's a great quote. But number two, to give you an idea of how these people spoke 200 years ago. I mean, they actually understood and knew the language.
Yeah, better than today.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, it still brings me back to our original question. What is removing Jefferson? What does removing any of these statues really accomplish, Shane? I mean, history is history. It's there, whether we have a statue standing there repeating. Uh, we're the great thing about America is it's a self-correcting country. It self-corrects.
Well, they deny that. I mean,
Yeah,
the
I know they
purpose
do,
the
but yeah.
purpose behind this, of course, is to create this racial, cataclysm that they
Mm-hmm.
want because they want more riots. They want another civil war. That's what they want. They're absolutely surprised there were more riots this summer, and the BLM didn't go to the streets. Number two is they want to destroy history. I mean, any example in the last 400 years of a socialist or communist government since Karl Marx, 200 years, whatever you want to call it, one is to destroy the history. During the Cultural Revolution in China, Mao did it. Stalin did it in Russia. Destroy religion, destroy your history, destroy the middle class. You have control. And those are the three premises. And Stalowinski has it in his book, and he talks about it. And it's just a sad protocol because you go into schools and the teachers who are basically Democrats, left leaning, they're not teaching any of this in history, and there's no reading, writing, and arithmetic. It's all theory. It's all political.
Mm-hmm.
And the difficult reality is the kids that see these statues on the street, they don't even know who they are. They don't know what they represent. They don't know the history. And a great person
Mm-hmm.
once said that if you deny history, it will repeat itself. And we've seen that in the last century alone. I mean, World War I, World War II, the Korean War, and on the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, on and on.
Yeah.
Well, you have somebody like Thomas Jefferson, who did so many great things for the country. Yeah, he wasn't a perfect guy. He had slaves, and people did at that time. I mean, that was life as it was at that time. But still, in all, then you take somebody like Floyd, who's a career criminal. And this guy's got murals all over the place, as a hero to somebody. I don't know who, but at least this guy is praised nationwide and worldwide. Half the people don't even know the his history, but they do know.
It's a sad thing for the African American community to pick Floyd out as someone identifiable,
Yeah.
historically. So as Hispanic representation grows, and they get equal representation because the black community now in your country is overrepresented. Um, 10, 20 years ago from now, they'll look back at these murals and they'll go, who was this guy? And exactly what you said, they're going to go, he was a criminal, and they're honoring a criminal. It's like the policeman in Congress, that they said was murdered, and then they gave him the Congressional Medal, not of honor, but a Congressional Medal for protecting the White House, which it turns out he didn't, and he died of natural causes. And this is the way the Democrats, they always overreach, they always overreact. It's never enough, so they try to pound more sand, so to speak, and it just comes back and bites them in the arse, as the British like to say.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the issue. That's where we find ourselves here, and as I say, taking these statues down, covering them up, whatever. Um, History is still history. unless you want to totally uh, er- eradicate it totally, you just have to kill all Americans, I guess. Start over.
Well, yeah, and of your founding fathers in Washington D.C., the only two monuments to them is Washington Monument, fabulous place, and the
Mm-hmm.
Jefferson, on the Potomac,
Mm-hmm.
the Jefferson Memorial, two incredible monuments to two
And
great Americans.
Lincoln's there too.
Well, I was just going to say that, but
Mm-hmm.
it took 100 years before they built one for Lincoln.
Yeah.
And then you look and they never built one for FDR. But Martin Luther King, there's a statue there in his honor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, so it's quite fascinating as a historian to look at the guise of some of the more remarkable people in your history that have never been recognized, and
Sure.
yet the few that they have, they've the left, the Democrats, they want very much to destroy, and it's quite fascinating because it's not just Republicans; it's their own. They want to destroy their own history. They, they don't want America to realize they're the party of slavery, the party of Civil War, Jim Crow, and on and on and on. They gotta blame that on somebody else. So the unfortunate thing with them is it's not going to be the American white public that's going to bring this to the fore. It'll be the Hispanics. The Hispanics will. The Hispanics will be the ones that decimate the Democratic Party because they're running away from what the Democrats are becoming. They're not coming to America to live in a socialist or communist state. They want freedom. They want capital. I want to make my taco truck and my taco hot dog stand or my taco
That's right.
Stand.
Been there, done that in the socialist country.
I could raise a family on that.
Yeah, that didn't work out so well for me. So I'm ready to come back home.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I say. Here you have a systemic racist country who hates blacks and hates every ethnic group you can think of, but yet people are pouring in the borders to get here.
50,000 black Haitians just got in. Well, why are they coming here if they're going to be abused and mistreated?
I was going to say,
that's a real oxymoron there for anybody.
Yeah. Apparently, the word that's getting back to them from other than media is, "Hey, get your ass here, man." It's pretty nice. It's a hell of a lot nicer than Haiti or El Salvador or Honduras or Guatemala or any of those places. Get over here. Come on over. We'll take care of you.
Yeah, and you've got a 200-year history with Mexico that's been militaristic on the border. Up until World War I, 1917, the U.S. had military on the border with Mexico, and we're constantly shooting and fighting back and forth, chasing each other.
Sure.
So, it's one of these situations that you find history is repeating itself once again. Now you have cartels firing across the border into the U.S. And when you look at the Louisiana Purchase that Jefferson made, my goodness, that and the Mexican-American War, 30 years later in 1850, basically, changed the entire size of the U.S. It became an entire continent because of those two events. So they're tied, together, and they made a difference. And but again, history will record this, as you say, and we'll read it if we're around, but everyone else will. But having said that, it'll be looked upon as like, this was terrible. This is horrific, other periods of the American history.
That's for sure. Hey, if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the chance to do it. Hey, nothing will happen to you, believe it or not. You don't have to leave any information. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell. You'll always be notified when we have another podcast. We do them every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 a.m. Mountain Time, 9 o'clock Pacific. And hey, we're happy that you're here. Don't forget, we do these with StreamYard. So if you want to make your own, they have a free version where you can do that. And you can see how easy it is because, Shane and I can do it. I guess anyone can.
Huh? If we can do it, anyone can.
Anyone can do it. Yeah. All right. All right, that's going to wrap it up for us. And we appreciate everybody being here. We especially appreciate the internet staying up while we're on. That's always a good thing. So we can hear you and see you and whatever. And a reminder, you can hear us on radio this coming Saturday. Don't forget, you don't have to do anything there either. You don't have to leave any information. You don't have to sign up. You don't have to leave an email or do anything. All you do is click listen now, and you can call us. You can text us. All of that is possible. And of course, don't forget that you can listen to past shows. So if there's nothing on that's interesting, we always are. So you can hang your hat on that. So we will see you next Tuesday with another fascinating podcast, and we'll also hear you and talk to you on the radio on Saturday. So thanks much for being here. Thanks, Shane, and we'll see you down the road.
Look forward to it.